LoreWarrior vehicles. Warrior H-7 attack helicopter. Overview. The Warrior H-7 is a tried and true attack helicopter, manufactured by a small division of Lockheed CBM. First produced in 2950, Warriors can now be found operating throughout the Inner Sphere, and even in some areas of the Periphery. The Warrior was privately designed and produced by Lockheed as a cheap and easily produced alternative to light mechs. As the Lyman Commonwealth suffered many defeats because it lacked the mobility that swifter, lighter mechs provide, Lockheed offered the Warrior to the LCAF. After 6 years of formal testing, with millions spent in R&D and tooling up production lines, the LCAF finally told Lockheed CBM that the Steiner forces had no need for their flying toy. Because of that decision, Lockheed ordered its VTOL division shut down. A few orders from mercenary units in the Periphery world kept the production line open for a while longer, but by 2957, the Lockheed VTOL plant had closed its doors. But not for long, however. The 9th Battle of Hesperus, which took place later that year, resulted in the destruction of a significant percentage of House Steiner's mech facilities. The LCAF was now frantic for weapons of any kind, even flying toys. They placed a substantial order with Lockheed at the end of 2957, and the Warrior's been in production ever since. Capabilities. The Warrior is designed around the Sarlon autocannon, firing a 10-round burst of 30mm hypervelocity slugs with each pull of the trigger. The Sarlon AC-2 is the most accurate direct-fire weapon in any arsenal, which makes it one of the most deadly. The Sarlon is mated to an N&D hands-free tracking and targeting system. Using a HUD display and slaving the autocannon and missile packs to a helmet sight worn by the pilot, the N&D frees the pilot's hands for other functions. To engage a target, the Warrior pilot has only to look at it and pull the trigger. The Thahe's SRM-4 is a standard design, and like the Sarlon, it's targeted through the same slaved helmet sight. The Thahe's missile system provides the helicopter with close-in protection against targets that cannot be effectively engaged by the Sarlon. The aircraft itself is a standard rotary wing design. The two counter-rotating rotor systems negate the need for a tail rotor, as there's no drive torque to be cancelled. The tail boom mounts a ducted tail fan that's capable of driving the Warrior up to speeds of 162 kph, while emitting a very low IR signature. It's also capable of carrying up to 250 kilograms of remote sensors in their monitoring set. This capability allows the copter to seed an area with sensors, and then retire behind any convenient cover. Once the Warrior acquires a target, it can then move into an advantageous position and attack, without ever losing contact with the target, or exposing itself prematurely. Tactically, the Warrior is best used when it can engage its target at long range, and doesn't have to defend a specific piece of terrain. The Sarlon allows the Warrior to stand off from a target while peppering it with shots. If the mech attempts to close in, the Warrior can simply move off. There is a price to pay for this mobility. Like all VTOLs, it's relatively fragile, and its weapon systems, though accurate, do not cause heavy damage. A Warrior cannot afford to place itself in a position where accurate return fire is likely or prolonged. Thus, the standard tactic against helicopters is to close quickly with them, and as a mech willing to take damage can always drive off a Warrior defending any position. Once the mech is in close, the helicopter's life can be measured in seconds. Battle history. Many Warriors are assigned to garrison units and air mobile infantry regiments to provide quick response fire support. In many cases, the Warriors will be the heaviest combat unit on the planet. Such was the case in 3021 in the combined system of Kimball. The planet Kimball II had the majority of the population and the greatest industrial and military concentrations in the system. Kimball VI had a population of only 100,000, a small militia, a mercenary helicopter unit, and no mechs. That is exactly why Red Jack Ryan ordered Wilson's Hussars to raid the planet. The only reason that Kimball VI had been settled was to exploit its rich bauxite deposits, Ryan needing the mining and oil processing equipment, and it looked as though Kimball would be easy pickings. The Hussars dropped onto Kimball VI and made for the mines in a mountain range 30 kilometers to the north. Entering the foothills, the recon lance was engaged by 12 Warrior H-7s. The Hussars' light mechs needed help because they couldn't effectively fire on the Warriors, though the situation was not yet critical. When the recon lance helped, Wilson brought up the rest of the company and tried to engage the Warriors. Buzzing around like flies, the Warriors refused to let Wilson's mechs close with them. The Hussars would charge the Warriors only to see them scatter and reform again. Wilson should have ignored the helicopters and gone straight toward the mines, but he continued to chase them instead. That chase ended in a box canyon. The warriors plunged into the canyon with the hussars close behind, and Wilson thought now that he'd finally had the elusive machines. Just then, the Griffin next to him exploded as a wave of SRMs rained down on his force. All along the ridgetops the planetary militia had appeared, armed with SRM launchers and infernos. Wilson made a hasty retreat, leaving behind 3 crippled mechs. The warriors harassed the bewildered mechs all the way back to their drop zone, and there they boarded their dropships and went home to Butt to explain their failure to Red Jack Ryan. Variants. As with most successful combat vehicles, there are several variants of the Warrior. The Warrior H-7A replaces the missile system with an auto gun and half a ton of ammunition, with the extra space being taken up by a Sarlon Maxi-Cannon 5. The Warrior H-7C substitutes a Valiant heavy crossbow LRM-10 with 240 missiles for the Sarlon autocannon. Both of these variants increase the punch of the systems, but also require that the Warrior engages targets at much closer ranges. Notable vehicles and crew. Nancy Laws. Nancy Laws is the commander of Laws Flight, the mercenary helicopter company that defeated Wilson's Hussars on Kimball 6. Though she was as surprised as anyone by the bloodless, at least for her troops' victory, over the Hussars, she behaves as though it were an unenviable consequence of her leadership and tactical skill. After the battle, Laws Flight was sent to Leeson, where their primary mission has been counterinsurgency operations in the mountain ranges. Laws Flight has shot up a number of goats, trees and rocks in the last few years, but precious few rebels. They've gotten sloppy, bored, and now have only 4 operating warriors left.